I'm Camille, and this story starts with the moment I realized my life didn't belong to me. It never had. 2 weeks before I was supposed to leave for Columbia University, my parents sat me down at the kitchen table and told me I wasn't going. Not because of grades. Not because I changed my mind, but because my brother needed the money more than I did. And according to them, family comes first. I was the quiet one in my family. The planner. The achiever. The one who never needed anything because I figured it out on my own. My older brother Travis was the opposite. Charming, reckless, always cleaning up messes he made with lies and fake apologies. But no matter what he did, my parents treated him like he was magnetic and misunderstood. I got straight A's. He got attention. Still, I didn't complain. I just waited my turn. When I got into Columbia with a partial scholarship, I thought my moment had finally come. I had worked for it. 4.3 GPA, debate captain, 2 part-time jobs, and hours spent applying to every scholarship I could find online. All I needed was the rest of the tuition, which I was told since I was 5, had been sitting in an account with my name on it, $120,000. They called it my college fund. It was a Sunday evening. I still remember the way my mom wiped her hands on a dish towel, slowly, like she was stalling. "Camille, honey," she said, sitting across from me at the kitchen table. My dad stood behind her, arms crossed. "We need to talk." That phrase, "we need to talk," it should come with a warning label. I smiled, cautiously. "Sure. What's up?" She glanced at my dad, then folded her hands like she was praying. "It's about your tuition." My stomach dropped. Dad cleared his throat. "We use the fund," he said, "to help Travis." My breath caught. "What?" "We didn't have a choice," Mom said quickly. "Travis got into some legal trouble. It was serious." I stared at them. "You mean the DUI? The gambling?" Dad shifted. There was also some financial issues with his employer. He could have gone to jail. "You used my college money," I said slowly, "to bail him out of embezzlement charges." "It wasn't like that," Mom said, her voice brittle. "He just made a mistake. He's trying to turn things around." I felt my throat close. What am I supposed to do? They looked at each other again. Dad shrugged. "Defer for a year. Go to community college. Reapply later. You'll figure it out. You always do." That last part, "you always do," felt like a slap. Mom reached for my hand, but I pulled it away. "We thought you'd understand," she said. "You've always been so mature. This is what family does. We take care of each other." "No," I said, standing up. "You take care of Travis." Dad's voice sharpened. "Watch your tone." I blinked at them slowly. I think part of me was waiting for them to say it was a joke, that there was still money left, that they believed in me. But they just sat there, unbothered, justified. I left the room and locked myself in my bedroom. I sat on the edge of my bed for hours. I didn't cry. Not at first. I just stared at my acceptance letter, still pinned to the corkboard above my desk. The Columbia crest looked like it belonged to someone else. Someone whose parents hadn't handed her future to a repeat screw-up and called it love. My suitcase was already half packed. My roommates had already added me to the group chat. I had a planner filled with color-coded schedules and to-do lists. None of it mattered now. That night I lay awake and listened to Travis laugh downstairs as my parents reheated his favorite pasta dish and asked if he wanted garlic bread. No one came to check on me. No one knocked. It was like I'd disappeared, and the house was lighter without me in it. The next morning I made coffee like usual. I sat at the kitchen island while my mom scrolled through Zillow listings on her phone, talking about how they were thinking of downsizing now that things had changed. When she stepped away to take a call, I opened my phone and texted the only person who might understand. Aunt Lisette. She had been my mother's older sister, brilliant, unconventional, estranged, the family black sheep. She left home at 18 and never came back. My parents said she was selfish. Maybe that wasn't the whole story. I typed, "Hi, it's Camille. I know it's been a long time. I need help." 10 seconds later, "Come to me. I've been waiting." That night, I packed my suitcase for the second time. Only this time, I wasn't going to Colombia. I wasn't going anywhere my parents had planned. Left a note on my pillow, not out of courtesy, but because I wanted them to see it and realize what they'd done. It read, "You gave my future to someone who keeps burning his. I'm done being the backup plan." Then I walked out the front door and into the quiet dark. No one stopped me. No one even noticed. And in that silence, I understood something I hadn't before. They never saw me as the daughter they were building a future for. I was just a resource, a thing to sacrifice. And that kind of love, if you can even call it that, leaves a bruise no apology can erase. The morning after I left home, I stepped off a Greyhound in upstate New York with nothing but a duffel bag, a Columbia sweatshirt I couldn't wear anymore, and $600 in savings. Aunt Lisette picked me up in an old Honda with no air conditioning. She didn't ask for details, just handed me a bottle of water and said, "Let's get you somewhere safe." Lisette lived in a one-bedroom apartment above, a bookstore she helped run. There was no guest room, just a pull-out couch and a closet she cleared out for me. That couch became my base of operations. I got a job waitressing the overnight shift at a diner. During the day, I took online classes. On weekends, I tutored high school kids in math and helped the bookstore with inventory. Every dollar I made went to tuition, rent, or coffee. I slept 4 hours a night and lived off lentils and bulk rice. But for the first time in my life, I wasn't invisible. Lisette saw me, not as a burden, not as a fallback, but as a person. When I graduated, degree in hand, no ceremony, I didn't cry. I just exhaled. Like I'd been holding my breath for years and finally had permission to let it out. I landed an entry-level tech job at a cybersecurity firm that specialized in small business protection. 2 years later, I co-founded my own company, Glasslock. By year 4, we were protecting corporate infrastructures and working with major hospitals. By year 6, I had a team of 40 and an office in Midtown Manhattan. By year 10, I was the CEO of one of the fastest-growing AI security startups in the country, and not once in all that time did I hear from my family. It happened on a Tuesday. I was in the middle of reviewing a proposal when I noticed the subject line in my inbox. "Please respond." The sender was Julia Rhodes, my mother. I clicked it out of reflex before I had time to stop myself. "Camille, I know it's been a long time. Your father and I are going through something difficult. The house is in foreclosure. Travis has been gone for months. We don't know what to do. We're scared. We're still your parents. Please help us." No apology. No acknowledgement of what they did. Just the expectation that I would show up now that the world was burning. I didn't respond. I archived the email and went back to work. But the next day, something even worse happened. Jenny, my head of comms, walked into my office holding her tablet. "Camille, you need to see this." She turned the screen toward me. It was a GoFundMe page, titled, "Help Us Save Our Home." At the bottom, in bold, "With the support of our wonderful daughter Camille, we're hopeful we can recover and rebuild." They used my name, my success, my image, without permission. The post had pictures of me, taken from old social media. Graduation photos, a headshot from our company's press kit, even a childhood photo I didn't know they still had. And the donations were pouring in. People were sharing it, tagging my company, saying how inspiring it was that I was helping. My aging parents, they'd rewritten the story, and now the world believed it. Within 24 hours, my LinkedIn inbox was full of messages from strangers. Clients were emailing to say how touching the story was. Some of our investors forwarded the link asking, "Is this real?" I was stunned, not because they reached out, but because they were smart enough to weaponize my silence. They didn't beg me privately. They didn't apologize. They crafted a version of me that looked good next to them, and let the internet fill in the blanks. They knew the world loves redemption arcs, and they cast themselves as the broken, repentant parents, just trying to make things right. It was brilliant and disgusting. I called Jenny. "Has anyone from legal seen this yet?" She nodded. "We're drafting a cease and desist, but..." Her voice trailed off. "But what?" "There's a risk if we go public. If we deny involvement, it could backfire. People might say you're abandoning your family in their time of need, because once a lie gets sympathy, the truth sounds cruel." I sat in my office, staring at the New York skyline. They hadn't reached out to reconnect. They weren't looking for closure. They were looking for leverage. The next week was chaos. News outlets picked up the story. "Tech CEO helps broke parents rebuild" was suddenly a headline. I got calls from nonprofits asking if I wanted to partner on family recovery initiatives. We lost a potential client who said, "Your personal drama makes us nervous." Everywhere. I turned. Their lie followed me. I sent a private message to the GoFundMe account demanding they remove my name. No response. I emailed my mother directly. "Take me off that page. This is your only warning." Her reply came 2 hours later. "Camille, please don't be like this. We didn't know how else to reach you. This is a family matter. Please don't humiliate us publicly. Humiliate them, as if they were the victims. As if I owed them the courtesy of silence." That night, I found myself on Lisette's balcony, staring out at the city with a drink in my hand. She joined me quietly, like she used to when I was a teenager sleeping on her couch. "They're trying to get back in," I said. Lisette nodded. "They never thought you'd survive without them. Now they need you to validate their version of the story." "I don't know what to do." "You already know. You just haven't said it out loud yet." I closed my laptop the next morning and took the day off work. Not because I was defeated, but because I needed a moment to remember who I was. I wasn't the girl they left behind. I wasn't the fallback plan. I was the one who rebuilt my life from rubble they created. I was the one who never asked them for a dime, who built something real while they played house with a son who couldn't stay out of a casino. They used my name to cover their shame. They made a mistake, because I had kept quiet for 10 years. But I wasn't going to stay quiet anymore. I told myself I wouldn't go, but something in me needed to look them in the eye. Not to forgive, not even to fight, but to see them for who they were, without the weight of wanting them to be anything else. So I called. I told them I'd meet them at a diner just outside my hometown. Neutral ground. Public. They agreed immediately, like they'd been waiting for the chance to perform. I wore a dark sweater, hair pulled back, nothing flashy. Just a small pin on my collar, a voice recorder, tucked under the fabric. Running. When I arrived, they were already there. Mom with her practiced smile, Dad with that familiar tight jaw. They looked older, smaller. But their energy hadn't changed. They still thought they had the upper hand. "Camille," Mom said, rising to hug. "Me!" I didn't move. She sat back down. Dad leaned forward, voice low. "We didn't want it to come to this, but you've left us no choice." "No choice but to lie?" I asked. "Use my name, my face, without asking?" You think you built this life by yourself? His tone sharpened. You think you'd be anything without the values we taught you? I didn't respond. Just let them keep talking. You always thought you were better than us, Mom added. That's the real issue. You've forgotten where you came from. Looked at them both, really looked, and felt nothing. Not hate, not love, just distance. And that was the moment I knew. I was finally free. I sent the recording to a journalist I trusted. She'd been investigating exploitative crowdfunding scams and family coercion for months. Her series had already exposed 3 high-profile fraud cases. I didn't want money. I didn't want credit. I just wanted the truth to be heard, without my name at the center. She released it anonymously. The story hit the internet like a grenade. Headline: Parents use daughter's success to scam donors, but she recorded everything. Clips from the conversation circulated online. You think you'd be anything without us. You've forgotten where you came from. We didn't want it to come to this. People recognized my voice. It didn't take long before the pieces connected. I didn't confirm or deny it. I didn't need to. My inbox flooded, this time with support. Victims of financial abuse. Estranged daughters. Anonymous comments that just said thank you. Then the media calls came. I turned them all down, except one. A televised panel on financial abuse and family betrayal. Survivors, experts, advocates. It wasn't about spectacle. It was about stories that get erased in the name of keeping peace. I sat on stage, calm, composed. I told the truth, not as revenge, but as release. I was told that family comes first, I said. But what they meant was, sacrifice yourself so someone else doesn't have to grow up. It aired on a Thursday night. By Friday, my parents were pariahs. Travis tried to save face. He released a video of his own, some rambling, poorly lit monologue about how no family is perfect, and we all make mistakes. He blamed addiction, pressure, me. But the receipts were already public. The court records, the theft, the emails, and the recording didn't lie. People weren't buying the performance anymore. The donations stopped. GoFundMe suspended the account. 2 weeks later, I got a notification from a local news outlet. Rhodes' family evicted amid financial scandal. The photo showed them outside the house, boxes on the lawn. My childhood home. The place they told me wasn't mine to claim. Now, it wasn't theirs either. A month passed. I didn't speak about them again. But one morning, my CFO brought me a file during our quarterly meeting. We're finalizing this block of property for the development deal, he said. This parcel just went into bank possession. Recognize it? I stared at the address. My childhood home. I said nothing, just nodded. Include it. We closed on it the next week, quietly. No press release, no announcement. I had no intention of moving in, but I knew exactly what to do with it. I drove upstate on a rainy Sunday and parked in front of the bookstore where I used to sort inventory for free coffee and floor space. Lisette was inside, organizing a new shipment of paperbacks. When she saw me, she raised an eyebrow. You look like someone with a secret. I handed her an envelope. She opened it slowly, pulled out the deed. What is this? She asked. It's yours, I said. The house, if you want it. She blinked hard. Camille, you're the only one who ever gave me a home. She didn't say anything after that. Just pulled me into a hug. I never went back to the house. Never walked through its rooms. Never looked at the closets or the corner of the kitchen where I used to study for exams while dinner burned behind me. I didn't need to. That place had already let me go. I gave Lisette the keys. And with them, I gave her the power to rewrite the story that family tried to steal from both of us. They say revenge is sweet, but for me, it was silence. No more questions, no more justifications, no more pretending I owed them anything. Just peace. Earned, owned, lived, and finally, mine.